Hello, my name is Jonathan McLaughlin, and welcome to Storytime with John. Today, I will be reading you an excerpt from one of my most favorite books of all time, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. Let's get started, shall we? The hottest day of the summer so far was drawing to a close, and a drowsy silence lay over the large, square houses of Privet Drive. Cars that were usually gleaming stood dusty in their drives, and lawns that were once emerald and green lay parched and yellowing. The use of housepipes had been banned due to drought. Deprived of their usual car washing and lawn mowing pursuits, the inhabitants of Privet Drive had retreated into the shade of their cool houses, windows thrown wide in the open of tempting and a non-existent breeze. The only person left outdoors was a teenage boy who was lying flat on his back in a flower bed outside number 4. He was a skinny, black-haired, bespectacled boy who had been pinched, slightly unhealthy look of someone who's grown a lot in a short space of time. His jeans were torn and dirty, his t-shirt baggy and faded, and the soles of his trainers were peeling away from the uppers. Harry Potter's appearance did not endear him to the neighbors, who were the sort of people who thought scruffiness ought to be punished by law. But as he had hidden himself behind a large hydrangea bush this evening, he was quite invisible to passerby. In fact, the only way he would be spotted was if his Uncle Vernon or Aunt Petunia stuck their heads out of the living room window and looked straight down into the flower bed below. On the whole, Harry thought he was not to be congratulated on his idea of hiding them. He was not, perhaps, very comfortable lying on the hot, hard earth, but on the other hand, no one was glaring at him, grinding their teeth so loudly that he could not hear the news, or shooting nasty questions at him. As that had happened every time he had tried sitting down in the living room and watching television with his aunt and uncle. Almost as though this thought had fluttered down through the open window, Vernon Dursley, Harry's uncle, suddenly spoke, glad to see that boy stop trying to butt in. "Where is he anyway?" "I don't know," said Aunt Petunia unconcernedly. "Not in the house." Uncle Vernon grunted. "Watching the news," he said scathingly. "I'd like to know what he's really up to, as if a normal boy cares what's on the news. Dudley hasn't got a clue what's going on. Doubt he knows who the Prime Minister is. Anyway, it's not as if there'd be anything about his lot on our news." "Vernon, shh," said Aunt Petunia. "The window's open." "Oh, yes. Sorry, dear." The Dursleys fell silent. Harry listened to the jingle about Fruit and Bran's breakfast cereal while he watched Mrs. Fig, a batty, cat-loving old lady from nearby Wisteria Walk, amble slowly past. She was frowning and muttering to herself. Harry was very pleased that he was concealed behind the bush. Mrs. Fig had recently taken to ask him round for tea whenever she met him in the street. She had rounded the corner and vanished from view before Uncle Vernon's voice floated out of the window again. "Daughter's out for tea?" "At the Pocuses," said Aunt Petunia fondly. "He's got so many little friends. He's so popular." Harry has to snort with difficulty. The Dursleys really were astonishingly stupid about their son. Dudley, as they had swallowed all his dim-witted lies about having tea with a different member of his gang every night in the summer holidays, Harry knew perfectly well that Dudley had not been to tea anywhere, and he and his gang spent every evening vandalizing the play park, smoking on street corners, and throwing stones at passing cars and children. Harry had seen them at it during his evening walks around Little Whinging. He had spent most of the holidays wandering the streets, scavenging newspapers from bins along the way. The opening notes of the music that heralded the 7 o'clock news reached Harry's ears, and his stomach turned over. perhaps tonight, after a month of waiting, would be the night. Thank you very much. Have a good night.